Okay, March 1st, 2015, we are on the eve of the NHL trading deadline. We're talking Bruins. Will they make a trade? Should they make a trade? Can they make a trade? I personally don't believe they should try to do anything. There's not a whole lot of prospective trade bait on this team, but hey, you know what? Chiarelli's probably going to try to do something. I think he will because he feels that he has to. Just been kind of the way that this organization has done business the last 6-7 years. Alright, now if they are going to make any moves, here's my 3 guys that the Bruins maybe actually have as some assets they can move. Alright, number 1, Carl Soderberg, 6'3", 215 pounds. He's a good big-bodied third-line centerman, but you know what? He's already 29 years old. It's only his 2nd full season in the NHL, and his contract's up after this year. He's going to be a free agent. He waited all those years to play over in Sweden before he decided to even move to the NHL. Who knows what he's going to be in the mood for this offseason. Plus, I think the Bruins are going to be a little bit more, not as quick to pull the trigger this year. They're looking at all these guys, Chris Kelly, Campbell, Danny Paille, all of these guys they've invested a lot of money in on the bottom half of our roster, and that might affect their decision on not moving forward with Carl Soderberg. He's been a good addition to this team. He plays pretty well when he's out there, but you know what? Can we get by without a guy like Soderberg? Yeah, we can. Alright? Number 2, Lucic. He's been mixed in that trade conversation for a long time here now, all the way back to last summer. Him and Marchand, they were wondering what's going to happen. And, people are asking, well, what's up with Lucic? He's been up and down this season, hasn't really lived up to the billing. You know what? I think that the team is going to trade him. I don't see him staying a Bruin. He won't remain here, but you know what? I think they're going to do it over the summer. They'll wait till the season's done, it's all wrapped up, teams are settling back in, and they have a little bit more time to kind of sit down, talk with management for these other organizations, really figure something out, and move forward there. They will trade him. I don't see it happening in the next 24 hours. And then third, I don't even have one definitive third guy for you, but it's just kind of our whole crew of Providence, 4th line kind of prospect guys. Alright? Your Jordan Caron, Ryan Spooner, guy like Seth Griffith that we all probably forget about, had that nice highlight between the legs goal back in November. Where's he been? They sent him back down to Providence. Couple of guys on the back end, Zach Trotman, David Warsofsky. We've seen some good contributions from both those guys. Warsofsky kind of back and forth last year, this year. Trotman played 17 games earlier this season when we had injuries, when Chara was out, when McQuaid wasn't back yet. He stepped in pretty nicely. So there's a lot of young talent with a high upside that teams can build around. And you know what? I think they have a pretty good, healthy sample size of actual NHL playing time to base it off of, if anyone's looking for any of those guys. Now, the top 3 players that the Bruins should be targeting, number 1, hands down, Eric Cole. Okay? He's that nice, seasoned, veteran, experienced leader up front, falls right in line with your Mark Recchi, Jaromir Jagr, even Brian Ralston moves, even like when they brought a guy in last year like Jerome McGinley, okay? He's that experienced guy up front. He can play all 3 zones. He knows how to back check. He could play on the power play. 6'2", he plays a little bigger than that, and you know what? He can put the puck in the net, and he can actually help these younger guys come along. Was part of the Stanley Cup winning team with Carolina back in 06, so he's been there before. He knows how to get it done. Also, plays for the Dallas Stars right now, okay? I think this team's, for whatever reason, Boston and Dallas have a nice little thing going here. Lines of communication are open, okay? We got Jagr from Dallas in 2013, picked him up for Lane McDermott and a 2nd-round pick. Didn't have to give up a whole lot there to get him, alright? So you're talking maybe you could send a guy like Seth Griffith and maybe, David Warsofsky, maybe those 2 and another pick to get a guy like Eric Cole in here this season. Might happen. Plus, I know I don't have to remind anybody about the Sagan trade from last summer, so I'm telling you, I think there's a little bit of a thing going with Dallas. Alright? Number 2 guy, Jan Hejda, defenseman for the Colorado Avalanche, 6'4", 230 pounds. Again, this is a team that we've had a little bit of a good rapport with. We got Johnny Boychuk from Colorado back when we picked him up, so the lines of communication are open there. Again, he's a big, sturdy, solid guy back on defense, similar to some of these guys we picked up, your Steve Montador, Wade Redden, even Caberlet, guys like that they've picked up at the trade deadline in the last 6 years or so, he's one of those candidates. Even if we don't hang on to him long term, he's a good way to shore up our defense, give us that safety net, and add depth on the back end. You know, again, maybe we send Carl Soderberg out there to Colorado, maybe pair him up with a guy like Zach Trotman. We could get Hayda and a draft pick. Sounds good to me, right? Who knows? And then number 3 is a little bit of a combo deal. I've heard a few things about Michael Ryder in New Jersey. You know, he could come back to Boston. He was great for us in 2011. He could chip in, put the puck in the net, you know, and maybe toss in a guy like Marek Zidlicki, one of their defensemen they have there. Maybe not a top 4 defenseman here, but you know what? Again, a seasoned veteran guy. He's been around the league, knows how to play. He can pitch in on the power play. He can fill in if somebody's going to be a liability out there. You know, if Bartkowski or Krug or Hamilton start slipping, you can insert this guy in there, and you know that you're going to be all set. Now, that's really the only realistic thing that I see happening this season, but a couple long shots here for you. Total bold predictions if they're going to maybe make some crazy trade. Number 1, Malcolm Subban. I still think the whole reason they brought him in 2 weeks ago trying to fill in for Tuukka is, you know, they were trying to pump him up, showcase him as some trade bait moving forward. You know, yeah, they fell flat on their face. It backfired on him, but there's still enough potential in this guy. There's enough teams interested in him that he could still be somebody that they want to move. And number 2, David Krejci. I mean, his contract right now is just backbreaking. You're spending that kind of money, $6.5 million a year on Krejci, you know, and I get it. I understand. That 2011 Stanley Cup run, he was a beast. He's a big reason they even won the Cup. Huge offensive output in the playoffs. Since then, hasn't done anything. He's barely on the ice. Last year, he only had 1 assist in the entire playoffs, and I don't even see him out there on the ice. So you know what? If they want to move somebody, I am totally fine parting ways with David Krejci. Like I said, those are a couple of long shots. We'll find out what happens tomorrow. But until then, I'll see you next time. This is Andrew Jaggaro, the Jaggernaut.